in the first.
Welcome to another edition of Right on Rangers Live, coming at you bottom of the ninth inning ahead. Rangers down 4-2. Last chances here. 3 more outs to go. Jacob Latz pitches the top of the ninth. Been maybe a second since he had pitched. I guess we're going with that. Was a little surprised to see Latzy in there. I guess I'm going to have to look and see, when's the last time he was up on the mound? I mean, look, I get you're trying to keep the game close, but interesting spot to use a closer. I mean, he had pitched on the 18th in Atlanta, right? So that's Saturday. I don't know. I think it's a questionable decision, but look, you do keep the game right at 4-2. Shocker. I don't think a whole lot of us were worried about Latzy in that top half, keeping it right where it was. He's been nails all season long. Good to see all y'all hanging out. Go ahead and drop a comment, drop a question if you'd like. We are going to be obviously live for the 9th. We'll do our post-game show here at Right on Rangers. We cover everything Texas sports, but we put a big emphasis, obviously, on the Rangers during the MLB season. And we thank you for choosing Right on Rangers for all of your Texas Rangers content. Appreciate all y'all. Let's see. What's Jack Leiter's what's his progress? My bad on that. Forgot how to read for a second. D-Stone, what's good? Thanks for the comment. Yeah, I think he's going to be back in August. I don't think there's any update beyond that. I think it's August. Man, losing the first 2 series after the break, not ideal for a team that's trying not to sell. Totally agreed, but, they're already putting out the PR, the different excuses, if you will. There's no Seager. Josh Young now has been down for a couple of games. You obviously don't have Jordan Montgomery and Cody Bradford, right? We were talking about this, man. CY just doing his typical media stuff, man. They are really moving the goalposts a little bit here. I'm not trying to sound negative on selling, but I will say the Rangers are setting it up very much so to use the excuse that, the team isn't fully healthy, so how could we really truly evaluate? It kind of gives them the ability to go either way with it, right? Gives them the ability to, hey, we didn't have everybody. We feel good. Corey Seager's back. We're going to have a really good 2 months here left of the season, and so we're buying. And then the flip side, right? If you decide to stand pat or you decide to sell, you've got the injuries as kind of a built-in excuse as well. All right. Cam Cauley's going to strike out here. Man, it would have been nice to get that first runner on base. Rangers down to their final 2. Coming up next, you have Diaz, you have Osuna. If anybody gets on, Nicky Knox. And then Wyatt Langford would be 4th. It's going to be tough to get Wyatt up. You're going to have a couple of people get on here. They're capable, very capable, but you'd love Wyatt with an opportunity. I posted this morning. I don't know if you guys saw it. I posted early this morning. Wyatt Langford, man, 2 years ago today, walked off the White Sox in his rookie season for his first career walk-off. Man, would I love for history to repeat itself right here. I would love that. That would be epic. Epic. Diaz, wave, he kind of gets sorted there, and it is a 1-1 count. That was not a good pitch for Diaz to swing at there. Just didn't appear ready. It's a strike, but man, he just was not ready for that one. He is going to foul off pitch number 3. And so we're quickly in a 1-2 count here. And the Rangers still have no base runners, man. You need somebody. Give me a little bloop, give me a blast, and it's a 4-4 game in no time. Let's go now. It's been a bad night in terms of runners left on base, man. Rangers are already up in the double digits. Elias Díaz is going to wave at this one. It would have been strike 3 either way, so got to pull the trigger, but Díaz not able to make contact, and it is up to Alejandro Osuna, who is 1 for 3 on the night. Nice little sliding catch, although, of course, in typical fashion, I know you have the haters coming out saying he made the catch look a whole lot more difficult than it needed to be. We'll remember that one when Evan makes a nice play, won't we? We'll remember that one. It's definitely interesting how the goalposts get moved at times when it comes to this whole debate. Osuna, not a great pitch to swing at here. Going to be a tough play, but it is made, and the Rangers lose the series to the White Sox. They have now dropped 4 of their last 6 games, unfortunately, and that is right out of the All-Star break, isn't it? You got the off day coming up tomorrow, and then you have a huge weekend set with the Mariners. You know, the second I say this weekend determines the season, the second I say stuff like that, it usually ends up going a different direction. So I really don't want to sit around and make too much of these 2 series with 2 months plus of baseball left to go, right, man? We've got 60 games left. I'm just not going to sit here in gloom and doom. It's all still right here in front of the Rangers. Now, can we talk a little bit about the state of the team? The Rangers are flawed. There's no way around that. This is a flawed baseball team. They have bright spots. They have good things that you look at and feel hopeful about. But this is a flawed team. The biggest flaws are ones that we've already talked about when it comes to the trade deadline. They need more bullpen help. You look at tonight and going into the 6th inning, you know, Jacob Junis gives up a big 4th run of the game. I mean, look, it didn't matter, but I will say this. The game changes when it's 1 run versus when it's 2. I know that maybe a lot of the casuals aren't necessarily picking up what I'm throwing down, but the game is a little different when it's a 1-run game versus a 2. And so, look, to keep it at 3-2 would have been nice. I'm not going to blame the bullpen for tonight's loss. Although I know Cal Quantrill technically qualifies as a bullpen piece, he's kind of more in the starting rotation at this point. It's kind of more in the starting rotation. If you want to throw him into the bullpen, fine. That helps make my argument anyways. You have a very strong need to go get a bullpen piece. That's what they're missing. I know there's a lot of people that are saying the Rangers need to sell. Why would you even talk about buying? Let's just talk about the holes. Instead of just saying the team sucks or they're not good, which I know we've gotten a little bit of that already. And I mean, feel free to express your opinion, no doubt. I'm not sitting here arguing this is an elite ball club. The Rangers need help in the bullpen. It's very obvious that they need a little bit of help in that department. And right now, they are really lacking that high octane, high leverage righty. Junis, it looked like he was the dude, looked like he was going to be the guy, but even pre-injury, Junis was fading a little bit. He was starting to falter, and some of us thought overuse. He's come back since and hasn't necessarily been a whole lot sharper, in my opinion. Now, we go to another flaw, which I do think is the offense. You look at this offense right now, Corey Seager coming back. Maybe that works out great. I know there's a lot of optimistic people. Corey is going to come back and tear the cover off the baseball. Might happen. I'm not necessarily there yet. I think he's probably going to need a little bit of time. I don't think he's going to be terrible for the rest of the year, but I'm not sure he's going to step back in and be the Corey Seager of old. I'm not necessarily on that page at this moment in time. The Rangers need to get one bat up at the top of the lineup. I don't think they need to waste any time getting a depth piece. I mean, look, no disrespect to a Lane Thomas. I don't want a Lane Thomas as my bat ad. I want somebody legitimate, somebody I'm putting up at the top of the lineup. Bowden on MLB, I know he had proposed, like, trading Dalton Spence, and who else did he propose? Wolfren, Castillo, right? I'm not a fan of that trade, but I like what he said about Arise, which is you add Arise to the top of this lineup. I talked about this, I think, a couple nights ago. Now you've got Arise hitting in front of maybe Jock if you have him lead off. Now some of the solo homers that Jock is hitting, which is great, but some of the solo shots become 2-run shots if you've got Luis Arise on ahead of him. Same thing for Wyatt Langford, right? I know Wyatt was leading off tonight, but you put Arise ahead of Wyatt Langford, and then you have a lot more possibility for damage. I'd love to see the Rangers go get a bat that can go in front of a Jock Peterson or go in front of a Wyatt Langford. So that way we have the opportunity for more run production. Going and getting a guy who slides into the 7 hole does nothing for me. Why even waste your time? That does nothing for me at this point. Now, let's go to the third, which maybe is the most important one in the context of tonight's game. The third thing that the Rangers need is pitching. They need starting pitching, to be more specific. What you saw tonight, obviously, Cal Quantrill, you're playing with house money a bit with him. It's a $1 million contract. I will always be a lot less pissed off about a $1 million guy doing this than a guy that we traded 5 prospects to get in the offseason. So all I would say is this. If you're pissed off at Cal Quantrill today, fair. But I hope you're a lot more pissed off when Mackenzie Gore does this, because Cal Quantrill is getting paid $1 million. Dude's getting paid $1 million. Like, my expectations for Cal Quantrill are right where they need to be. And it should be true for you too. This is not Mackenzie Gore 5 prospect guy. This is $1 million guy right before spring training. Like, keep the expectations where they need to be. Was Quantrill good tonight? No. Should you be mad at him for doing this on a $1 million contract? I would submit no. This is probably pretty much in line with what you should be getting out of Cal. 3 innings, 2 earned runs. The walks killed him tonight. But look, he didn't detonate the game. That's the one thing that I do want to really emphasize with Cal. I know even I was critical with him. And of course, you guys know when I'm reacting on X and Facebook and Threads as the game is happening, I've always equated it to, you're watching a game with me at a bar, man. I am overreacting constantly. And if you don't love that, then yeah, this probably isn't a great channel for you. And God bless you. I'm not mad at you. But when you watch a game with me, I'm not sitting there measured, tempered, just calm and collected. Guys, let's have a good perspective here. Man, when I'm watching a game, you get passion and energy, baby. You watched a game with me. A lot of y'all have watched every game with me. And I'm not trying to sit here and watch a ball game, with 5 liters of perspective, babe. I'm not. I'm trying to react in the moment. And in the moment, I said, man, this Cal thing has been fun, but the Rangers got to go get a starting pitcher. They've got to go get a starting pitcher if they want any hope of really extending out what's been a very fortunate beginning of the season. And I say that because the Rangers are right there in the first place mix for the AL West, despite being quite mediocre overall as a team. That's the thing that I think always gets me is, there's a lot of people online that push back against any negativity around the team. And of course, the fact that the Rangers are in first place or were in first place or are close to first place is a really big talking point for the people that don't like hearing any negativity about the team. And I just find it so disingenuous. It is okay to say the Rangers are really fortunate to be where they're at right now. It's also okay to say, I love this team, but they're flawed. And this is a flawed team. It's not a perfect team. It's not a World Series winning team. Don't be disingenuous. You can just say, yeah, they're in first place. That's void of all context. Like, if you've watched this team day in and day out, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Is it fun that they're still in the mix despite being flawed? Absolutely. And I'm not sitting here rooting for the Rangers to fail. I think there are some fans that, are kind of, I don't want to say taking joy in the Rangers struggling, but I feel like there are some fans rooting for failure so we can sell. And maybe their best intentions are at heart in that regard. They don't want to see the club sink into just the terrible decade that we endured before the World Series win. I know we had a couple of playoff runs in there, but obviously after 2016, it kind of went downhill until 2023. I think there are some people that really want to see that be avoided. But man, let's just be honest about where this team is at. They are 51 and 51. Like, that's painfully accurate. I said this in a video that I put out a couple days ago. That is a painfully accurate statement. 51 and 51. Like, so anybody pumping this team up, first place team, they're sitting pretty. Come on now. They're 51 and 51. That is not an elite ball club. 51 and 51 is not elite, babe. It's not. So I just want a little bit of reality with the optimism, I guess is what I'm trying to say here. Can we get a little dose of reality with any optimism about this club? That is all I'm trying to say right now. Now, we turn to the Mariners series. Somebody in the comment section, I know my opener was a little long today. Somebody in the comment section said, we're facing the Mariners' best pitchers. To me, I'm not worried about that at all. I don't really fear any one of the Mariners pitchers. George Kirby is probably the top one. Every other pitcher, Gilbert, we've hit. Brian Wu, I feel like, even though Brian Wu is a very good pitcher, I feel like every time we play Brian Wu, we have opportunities. Like, does he get out of jams sometimes and the stats look pretty good? Yeah. I feel like every start over the past 2 years that we've had against Brian Wu, there's traffic. I mean, that was kind of the story of tonight's game, wasn't it? A lot of traffic tonight. You had a number of different left on base. You just did not have the opportunities in certain games, but this one, you can't really say that. This game, you did have opportunities. Some nights, the offense totally extinct. 3 hits. Tonight, you only had 5, but you had some moments, right? You had some moments where the Rangers threatened and just couldn't get it done. I feel like the Rangers are going to be competitive this weekend. I don't know how the series is going to go. I wouldn't mind if we split it. I'd love to win 3 out of 4. I've said this so many times. It is so hard to win a 4-game series, man. To win 3 out of 4 games, especially with our team, 51 and 51 again, painfully accurate. It's hard to win 3 out of 4. I mean, we swept Toronto, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, in a 4-game set? That's hard to do. That was impressive. It is hard with a division rival to sweep 4, to win 3 out of 4. I'm going to be good with a split in this one. I know we usually preview at the end of the show. I'm going to be good with a split. I don't think that we need to melt down if the Rangers win 2 out of 4. If they lose the series or if they get swept in this series, that's what is going to have a lot of people hitting the panic button. And in some ways, I think what the Rangers most likely will do is probably going to be pretty fitting with what they've done the rest of the year. It's not going to surprise me if they win 2 out of 4 because that's just what they've done all year, man. Up, down, win, loss. Look really good, look really bad. I don't think you're definitely selling if you lose this series. If they lose this series, they will be 52 and 54. So right now they're 500. Losing the series would be 52 and 54. Getting swept would be 51 and 55. Just remember, CY bought when the Rangers were like 4 games out of a playoff spot in 2024. I don't think that the Rangers are out of it if they lose 3 out of 4 games. I think that they will continue to play it out all the way up until the deadline. And, when you look at the schedule, right, you go through the schedule, you look at the Mariners, and obviously after that, you go play Tampa Bay. And that Tampa Bay series, I believe, is a 3-game set, correct? And then you go play Houston again. So you've got a really tough stretch here. I don't think that anything is going to be determined until really that final weekend where you're in Houston playing the Astros, right? You play the Astros July 31st, August 1st, August 2nd. That's going to be huge. You play Tampa Bay right after that. That's going to be huge. All these series, I think, are big. If you lose 3 out of 4, let's say the Rangers do lose 3 out of 4. You lose 3 out of 4, and then you win back-to-back series against the Rays and the Astros. They're obviously buying. Let's say you lose the series to Tampa, maybe 1 game to 2, and then you sweep the Astros. You're probably buying. Right? There's so many scenarios where the Rangers are still buyers. I just am not putting a lot of stock in this one weekend. I think the Rangers win a couple of games. I really think they do. I think they win 2 this weekend. If they win more than that, phenomenal. But I think they win 2. I do think you're going to get a really quality start out of Eovaldi. I think you're going to get a good bounce back start from DeGrom. I think both those dudes are pissed off. Are going to throw with a little bit of fire. I don't know if the offense is going to be up for it, but I really do feel like you're going to get a good DeGrom and a good Eovaldi this weekend. And then hopefully Mackenzie Gore is up for it too. That, to me, is going to be what I'm most interested in. Those DeGrom and Eovaldi starts, rightfully so. I mean, I'm not saying anything prophetic here. I'm most interested, man, how do DeGrom and Eovaldi bounce back? I think they bounce back nicely. And those are the 2 games I'm circling as you got to win those games. You got to win the DeGrom and Evo games. Have to. Keep rolling. Past 2 seasons along with this one, G-Man, what's good, brother? Thanks for being patient with me. Falls on CY and ownership. Rangers could put bad taste in fans' mouth after winning it all. Mavs did it too, G-Man, to be fair. I don't know if you're a Mavs fan, but Mark Cuban did it to us too. Right after we won that 2011 chip, man, he went ahead and sold off everybody except for Dirk, it felt like. Look, it's happened in DFW sports, just in general, multiple times. I do think what you've got going on here is bad roster construction over the past couple of years. 2024, you didn't go all in. You should have gone all in. I've talked about this many times. You won the World Series. Probably weren't really expecting to win the World Series if you're being honest with yourself. Got a little bit of influx of cash. You win the World Series. Of course you do. Of course you get a little bit of an influx of cash. Maybe I'm being too generous with my words there. Maybe I'm not. I think that you got a nice little boost from that World Series. And you decide to kind of do some penny pinching in free agency. I mean, look, I know they went and got Jock Peterson for the 2025 season, but in 2024, there was very little splashy. Very little splashy. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the gift, Texas Boogeyman. Appreciate that. Not needed, much appreciated. There was very little splash in 24 or in 25. And the Rangers should have done more. This year, they should have done more, especially. You could have signed Luis Arraez outright. You could have done that. Maybe in CY's mind, he was thinking I can just trade for him, but you could have signed him outright, and he could have been crushing it for you. I mean, there's a number of guys you point to in free agency that we were all interested in that are having good years, and you just kind of say to yourself, man, like, we had some chances in the offseason. We really did. RK Vulture, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the gift again. Not needed, but very much appreciated. Thank you for the generosity. I just hope that the Rangers don't do the middle ground thing. I know that a lot of people are saying, like, stand pat. I personally don't want to see stand pat. I'm not saying I necessarily want to see them buy big, but I don't want to see them do nothing. You've got some tradable pieces. Like, you've got some tradable pieces here. Anybody saying stand pat, I feel like we all know how that's going to end. Come on now. We all know how standing pat is going to end. The people that are saying that confidently, like it still might work out, I don't even get that. We all know how standing pat is going to end. It might end with, a playoff appearance, but it's not going to end with the World Series title. I'm sorry. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news. You've got some guys that are tradable. You've got guys on half-season contracts that are tradable. Jock Peterson is tradable. Jock Peterson could be traded. Look, if you're not going to go buy, why keep Jock Peterson? That doesn't make any sense to me. This team is not going to win a World Series unless they add pieces. I don't know who disagrees with that. I haven't met many people that do. If you do, I would love to hear genuinely. I'm not going to read it just to make fun. I genuinely want to know. I just don't see, unless you're just eternal optimist, throw everything out the window. We're 51-51 and things are just going to go great for no specific reason. Okay. But for me, I don't think they're winning anything without adding pieces at the deadline. And so with that in mind, why would you keep Jock Peterson? Why would you keep Jacob Junis? I'm hoping Jacob Junis figures it out because Jacob Junis would be a great trade piece. You could trade Jacob Junis and you could get something back in return for him. Yeah, I mean, look, the bullpen is going to take another hit, but Jacob Junis would get you something. I definitely don't agree with standing pat. You either need to sell, and you need to sell the half-season guys like Jock Peterson and Jacob Junis. Higgy, I would have thrown in there, but Higgy, of course, injured. Don't really know what the status is going to be there. Or you need to buy. Like, I don't get anyone saying do nothing. That would be criminal. You either have to trade the guys that are going to walk in free agency next year, or you need to find a way to extend them. And I don't think the Rangers want to extend Jock Peterson. I don't think the Rangers really want to extend Jacob Junis or Kyle Higashioka. Trade them, baby. Skip speaking right now, y'all. Let's take a minute and listen in.
Yeah, Lats was going to pitch no matter what today just because he had 3 days off with an off day coming up. So no matter what the score was, he was going to end up pitching the ninth. But to your point, I was chasing. We had a
Lats was going to pitch no matter what today.
Been set up to keep us in the game and give our offense a chance, and I thought they did that. Quite honestly, I know Juno gave up a run, but we just couldn't get a big hit with runners in scoring position. I don't know what it was, 1 for 6, 1 for 7, but bases loaded, no outs, and a couple other times that just ended up costing us in the end.
And yesterday we talked so much about how effective the approach and the at-bats were against another lefty. I know it was a lefty on the mound today, different starter obviously, but just what did you think about the difference in spread last night to tonight?
I thought we took good at-bats, just the bases loaded, no outs. That was kind of the difference in the game. It's been kind of a little bit of an issue the whole year, quite honestly, with the bases loaded situation, and we got to figure out how to score in those situations, crooked numbers, to at least tie or put us in the lead. And so, yeah, Kay did a good job. Cauley, Duran, a couple guys had some good swings, but obviously just one hit away from really breaking that open, just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Cam Cauley. Obviously, hits the first major league home run tonight. That's a big moment for him. And what are you seeing from him as he continues to get playing time?
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree that the at bats were awesome tonight. Ethan, I'm with you on this.
During a loss, but he'll always have that really, really cool and special for him. But you feel like he's getting more comfortable in center field. You know, we kind of threw that at him this year. It's not easy. He's just trying to be an athlete out there and doing the best he can, kind of learning on the job, but he's doing a great job. I thought Travis, you know, I think Travis is doing a really good job with him, Jankowski, and kind of helping him each inning.
The comments are gold right now. Some of y'all, I'll read some of them. Some of these are gold right now. Skip talking. That's why there's a little low.
I really like what he's doing. He got on base a couple times if you include the home run.
Yeah, Cam, talking about Cam Cauley. Cam had a nice game tonight. He did.
Get on base, you know, cause some havoc, put some at bats together, and I don't know what his OPS is, but it's over 750, so he's doing a heck of a job so far. It's over 800. There you go. Home run helps it.
Over 850, by the way. Over 850 OPS for Cam Cauley.
What will the upcoming series with Seattle reveal about this team? Because it seems like here we are 102 games in, and I'm not sure that anything about this team has been revealed. What will these 4 games tell you?
Yeah, I think, you know, the next 4 games, the next 10 days, quite honestly, is going to...
Evan coming with the spice once again. He's not messing around. He's telling Skip just like he thinks it, man.
Hopefully we get some, continue the. I thought the bullpen pitched really well today. Hopefully that continues. But we're going to find out. I think it's a big series for both teams. Both of us are in a spot to go one way or the other, pretty much. Quite honestly, and I think the series.
All right.
I know it's 100 games in. There's still a lot of games.
You know, here's my only thing. I just don't understand why it's hard for Skip to just say in so many words, we haven't been consistent enough. Like maybe he said that and I've missed it. And if that's the case, I'm sorry. But what I don't understand is why can't he just come out and say, yeah, a team that's 51-51 has been consistent, I guess, at being pretty mediocre, but the Rangers just aren't consistent. That's what 51-51 tells you. I don't know why that's so hard to say out loud. I mean, I don't know why that would be hurting anybody's feelings or why the players would get upset about that. I mean, you are what your record is in most cases, man. I mean, you're 51-51. You can't consistently put together win streaks. You have really good wins, and then you have really bad losses where you're getting blown out. Tonight wasn't a blowout, but, I mean, look, the 4-2 lead, it felt pretty insurmountable at times late in this game. I just don't understand why you can't come out as the manager, Skip, and just say that. Like, that's the total issue with this team. They can't be consistent. Mackenzie Gore, not consistent enough. Jake Berger, not consistent enough. Jake Berger's hitting in your 3-hole tonight. And obviously you're missing Josh Young. I do actually, in a game like this, a 4-2 game, you do wonder a lot more strongly, how would JJ have affected the game tonight? He's usually good for at least a hit or two. Don't know if it would have came with anything meaningful happening, but you always do kind of think about these close games when you're missing one of the hotter hitters on your team. It does feel like JJ makes a difference tonight. So I think if you're looking for a little glass half full mentality after the loss this evening, I do think you look at Josh Young's absence and you say, okay, I can understand why the Rangers came up a little short tonight. That being said, doesn't really take away from anything else I've said. I don't even know why he thinks it's weird to me why he thinks that's such a tough thing to say. We're just not consistent. We're not a consistent ball club right now. You can go total positive dude mode if you want, but you can still say we haven't been consistent enough. We're working on getting better every day. I've seen some glimpses, but sometimes we're taking one step forward, two steps back, and then another step forward, and then another step forward, and then two steps back again. It's what this team's done all year. It's such an easy diagnosis, and I just have never really heard Skip talk about it a whole lot. I don't really understand why it's such a big deal to utter those words. Maybe it's not, but that's my biggest takeaway. And yes, Skip always talking about, hey, we took some good at bats. We just couldn't get the big hit. We just couldn't get the big hit. We took some good at bats. I will say this in defense of the Rangers' bases loaded situation tonight. Skip said basically that was the difference in the game. I would probably disagree a little bit with Skip in that regard. The bases loaded situation tonight. You had Elias Díaz coming up with no outs. And I actually posted about this. I know a couple people clap back at me, but you know what? Elias Díaz, at least he put the ball in play. Elias Díaz is your number 7 hitter. I mean, what are we really expecting from our 7, 8, 9? I mean, look, if we can get clutch hitting from the bottom 3 hitters, great. I'm not necessarily thinking to myself, with the 7, 8, 9 up, man, this is going to be perfect. You got your 3 worst hitters arguably up. And look, I don't think Osuna is one of the 3 worst hitters on the team, if I'm being totally honest, but I didn't necessarily expect big things from the bottom of the order there. I don't know about you guys. Wasn't necessarily thinking big things with bases loaded, Elias Díaz, even though he's my boy, Osuna and Lopez. Were you? I don't know. When Skip says that was the game, I'm like, bro, it's your 7, 8, 9 hitter. Like, at least we got one run. We got plenty of dudes on the team, bases loaded, nobody out, who strike out. I'm not going to name names. I think you can probably think of a few. Now, look, Osuna strikeout, that was tough. He's been so clutch, though. I don't really think I'm showing my bias too much here. He's been so clutch in bases, bases full, people on base. I just read out those statistics last night. The guy's hitting over 900 with the OPS with runners in scoring position. I'm going to give Osuna a pass, but man, it just isn't a great opportunity with the bottom of your order up with the bases loaded. Is it an opportunity? Yes. Is it a great opportunity? No. You know what I look at more tonight? I mean, I know Wyatt Langford had a walk, and man, what an epic troll job from him. Dude taps the helmet, and he had a nice little leisurely stroll to first base during that challenge, didn't he? That was classic from Wyatt, by the way. That was one of the more fun moments of the game, in my opinion. You know what I look at, though? And Wyatt's been great, so you guys know how I roll, though. It's game to game, and I'm always going to go wide lens. But in a game, I don't necessarily not criticize because, hey, they've been doing great over the last week. Yeah, but you can still have a bad night, and it's okay to say somebody had a bad night. Wyatt Langford 0 for 3 with a walk. Jake Berger 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Also had a walk. So 2 of your top 3 hitters went hitless. That to me is something that I look at a little bit more than, Elias Díaz and Alejandro Osuna didn't clutch up with the bases loaded, man. We had Langford 0 for 3. We had Berger 0 for 3. Brandon Nimmo did have a hit tonight. He's 1 for 4 on the evening. Foscue was 1 for 4 on the evening. And by the way, Duran and Cauley are the only ones that provided extra base hits tonight. Duran from the 5-hole, Cauley from the 6. The top half of the lineup tonight was just not good enough. That to me is what I look at more than, hey, with our 7-hole hitter and our 8-hole hitter coming up with the bases loaded, we didn't score 5 runs. I don't know. That's just me. You've got to have more out of your top 3. Langford and Berger going a collective 0 for 6. Forget the walks. Now, we need a little bit more out of our top 3 than 2 walks, man. I've got to go there before I blame Osuna and Diaz for not coming through. Let's see. The catcher situation is going to get interesting. It really is. I think that with Higgy and his injury, it's opened up more and more. I jinxed Osuna. Man, I feel like I've jinxed everybody at some point this season. That is 100% accurate. I feel like I've jinxed everybody at some point or another. Should we just trade Scarborough for Adley Rutschman and get it? Look, I would do that deal. That's just me. If they're willing to do Rutschman for Scarborough straight up, I would do that deal for sure. I don't think there's any question. Scarborough, I think he could be a guy maybe in 28, but still a long way to go. I like Caden Scarborough a lot. I've been following him for the past couple of years now. If you can get Adley Rutschman straight up for Caden Scarborough, you do that deal. You definitely do that deal. Who are we talking about? Sugi, who are we talking about? We talking about Wins? Is Wins batting less than 150? Wins is, let's see, 074. You were being too generous, but Sugi, you were being too generous, man. He's batting less than 100. So Mendoza line is 200. What is the 100 line? Is there a nickname for the 100 line? Oh my goodness. He's batting 074. They've got to go out and get catching help. They've got to. Aiden, what's good? I did see Tarps Off. Y'all, that's fun that y'all were out there. Good for you guys, man. You know, I've gone back and forth on Tarps Off. Tarps Off is appropriate in a game like this that's close. In some of the games where we're getting our butts kicked, I must admit, Tarps Off, I'm like, oh, just, you're driving the knife right now. It hits us all differently, I know, but still. Passon said Rangers #1 team for Adley. Ethan, tweet at me and hook me up with that link, man. Let me see that link if you can, when you can, brother. Take your time. I have not heard this. Passon said Rutschman is the #1 destination. Texas is the #1 destination for Rutschman. Wow. Wow. Okay. Look, can we get both? Can we get a Rise and Rutschman? Hello. That would make me feel a lot better about our competitive chances. A lot better. And yes, I'm batting a Rise, probably leadoff. You know what? If Jock Peterson can't figure it out in any other spot in the order besides leadoff, you know, bump him. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, dude, we can't just only have you hit leadoff because you suck in every other position in the lineup. Like, I'm sorry. If we get Luis Arraez, I'm hitting Luis Arraez first. I'm moving Jock probably down to second or third. And then this is assuming Corey Seager's still out. I want traffic from my best power hitters. Right now, Jock Peterson is one of your best power hitters. I'm tired of Jock hitting solo homers, man. Just gut what's left of the farm, not Walcott, and go for it. JN, you and I are in lockstep on this. I have said if you can get a star controllable player, like I'm just using this as an example. Let's say it's 2023, 2022, whenever Juan Soto got traded from the Nationals. Was it 22 that he got traded to the Padres? If you have the chance to get like 2022 Juan Soto, he's controllable for 3 or 4 years, I would probably consider giving up Walcott. If I'm not getting like prime Juan Soto on a 3 to 4 year controllable contract, I really do not want to give up Sebastian Walcott. Switch hitter is awesome for Adley. Absolutely. You love that. Trade Berger, Peterson, Young, Junis, and also buy as well. Peterson, they should be shopping. They should be seeing what they can get for Jock. Not because he sucks or because I want him off the team. because he's on an expiring contract and you may or may not make the playoffs. And you know what? There's a chance that you can still make the playoffs without Jock Peterson. I know there's some people that might argue with me about that. I really do believe there is a legitimate shot that you still make the playoffs even without Jock Peterson on the roster. Jock Peterson, at the end of the day, he sat the last 2 nights. I do think we have to be real about that, right? Jock has not played the last 2 nights. I mean, you throw the lefties back to back, Jock is sitting his butt on the bench. And so for me, Jock is basically a power hitting platoon player. You should be able to make the playoffs without a platoon player. I know that it's a team game and everybody contributes. Don't get it twisted, please. The Rangers should be able to make the playoffs without a player that plays part-time. And if you can trade the part-time player and get a full-time player like an Adley Rutschman, not necessarily back in return, but if you can ship Jock Peterson and get some value, you create some DH flexibility. I don't know how I'm feeling totally about Foscue. Foscue, to me, is another interesting one that you could potentially flip as well. I would probably be open to calls on Justin Foscue. I would probably be open to using Justin Foscue as trade bait. I don't think the Rangers' playoff hopes are dependent on Justin Foscue hitting DH against lefties. You could easily go Wyatt Langford DH, Josh Young DH. The Rangers, I think, would be really wise to open up the DH position and really create some DH flexibility. You guys have heard me say this. I'm not a big fan of dedicating 2 players to a DH role. And I know that Foscue can play the field. I don't think the Rangers love playing him in the field. But for me, I don't want 2 players on my roster that are dedicated to the DH spot. So for me, I think Foscue could be a guy that you potentially ship off. You can fill the DH against lefties with guys that you already have. You could have Berger DH against a lefty starter. You could have Langford DH like he did tonight against a lefty starter. You know, you could obviously have a number of different players step into that role. Josh Young. I definitely would not be opposed to the Rangers dealing both DHs right now. They have a lot of players that I think could benefit from DHing, like, you know, in a rotating basis. Like getting Wyatt Langford a couple DH days, it's nice to have that flexibility. Getting Josh Young a DH day, I actually think Josh Young should probably transition into more of a DH role. You can't really do that with Justin Foscue. You know, he's hitting hot right now. Don't know if it's going to last or not. I feel like you are kind of selling high a little bit right now on Foscue if you do trade him. And then you're opening things up for JJ to potentially take over that DH role against lefties, which I'd like to see because I'm not a big fan of Josh Young out in the field. And I don't think we need to trash on him. I hope that you've been watching the games and you know what I'm talking about. JJ has taken a massive dip this year defensively. The bat's been great. You'd love to make JJ your DH against lefty starters. Get him out of the field. Have Ezequiel Duran play third base. Have Cam Cauley play shortstop, and you can have Nicky Lopez play second. Or you can flip-flop Cauley and Lopez if you want. That defensive alignment feels much better to me than any scenario where Josh Young is playing third. It's me. They might have him try again next year. They might, but I'm not sure. Should I pick up Rocker in fantasy or no? Nick, I wouldn't. Don't know much about baseball, but one of my favorite movies is Rookie of the Year. Rookie of the Year is an absolute classic. Seize the day. Appreciate you. Hope you're having a good summer. Rookie of the Year is classic. It's nostalgic for me. I remember watching it a lot as a kid. It's very nostalgic for me. Obviously you watch it back as an adult. Yeah, I mean, clearly it's a movie. But Rookie of the Year, it's a good one. I always thought, how fun would that be? Like, I think a lot of kids dream of that anyways. So I think at minimum they did a nice job bringing what we all dreamed about at some point in our lives to life, which is, what if I like gained magical powers and could throw like 105 miles an hour and I'm striking out the best hitters in the game? And we all in our backyards playing wiffle ball pretended like we were on, our favorite team and striking out the opposing hitter who was an all-star last year, man. I dreamt up every scenario. Rookie of the Year did a nice job with that for sure. Must-win series here against Seattle. Yeah, I think it's a must split. I would adjust the wording a little bit there, Nick. I don't think you have to win 3 out of 4. I do think you got to split. And you know what? Even if they lose it, I think that they're still going to be in it. I don't think it is a nail in the coffin. If you lose the Mariners series and you lose the Tampa Bay series, you have basically 4 series losses in a row. That's when I start really hitting the panic button. If they can split this series with the Mariners, maybe win 2 out of 3 against Tampa Bay going into the Astros series before the deadline, I think you're cooking with gas. Losing 4 series in a row, Atlanta, Chicago, Seattle, Tampa Bay, you lose 4 series in a row, that to me feels like a bit of a death sentence. What do I think the Rangers need to become contenders? What's good, man? Kind of been talking about it already. I think you've got to go get a bat that can hit up at the top of the lineup. You have to have more opportunities for some of your best hitters. Clearly, I think they need a bullpen piece. The bullpen is mostly rookies right now, and Jacob Latz. Clearly, Alexander and Junis have done a nice job at different points this year, too. Alexander's been very good. I don't want to undersell him. 2.86 ERA. Junis, 2.92. He has been fading a little bit, but even he is doing a pretty nice job as well. Nick, I do think we need to go get a rise. I would prefer that they not trade Castillo and Pence for a rise. I don't think they should do that at all. I think that's a bad trade. I'm not saying, don't go get a rise, but man, I feel like you can get away with trading a lot less. Again, would they be willing to take like Josh Smith and Corniel? I would rather trade Josh Smith and Corniel for a rise than trade Pence and Castillo. Like Smith and Pence, maybe. I would really like to see if you could get Josh Smith in a trade to the Giants. Not because I don't like Josh Smith. This is always what happens, too, during trade season. If I suggest trade Jock, why do you hate Jock, man? You're just a hater. Trade Josh Smith. Why do you hate Josh Smith? No, I'm not hating anybody. But this is a business, man. We can't just sit around and pretend like everybody's sticking around. They're not. You got to trade somebody at the deadline. Like, we love all these guys because they're wearing Ranger red, white, and blue. But, man, like, it's nothing personal. Let me just reiterate that right now. But if you could get away with trading Josh Smith instead of a minor league position player, I would like that. And if you could get away with trading one of the top arms that are kind of waffling right now between minors and majors, like a Corniel, I would be willing to do that also. Now, could Corniel totally light it up? I'm not doing the knee-jerk reaction thing here. I think that's a pretty fair trade. I really do. Adley Rutschman would be great. I would love to go get Adley Rutschman. If they wanted to do Scarborough for Rutschman straight up, I would probably do that deal. The only thing I want to look up, which I'm going to do right now, is Spotrac and look at that Rutschman contract. He is a UFA in 2028. So you're getting a year and a half of control. And you're obviously crossing your fingers, saying some prayers that, you don't miss a ton of baseball next year in 2027. This is a nice move because it lines up very, very well with DeGrom, with Evaldi, with Mackenzie Gore. The more guys that you can get lined up with DeGrom, with Gore and with Evaldi, the better. Both DeGrom and Evaldi, you can essentially part ways with. Unless you re-sign DeGrom, you can pick up an option. But the more guys they can get lining up with this time frame, the better. So Rutschman would be a really nice move if they're willing to go out and make it happen. Objectively, the Penn guys don't allow a bunch of runs. Issue is our offense doesn't put up a lot of runs either, so we lose a lot of close games. Look, I would agree the stats would probably say the Rangers are, slightly above average when it comes to the bullpen. But I think what we have to understand with the bullpen part of the discussion here, there's a difference between July baseball and October baseball. And so that's why I do think you've got to go get somebody that's high octane, high leverage, right-handed. You've already got Latz in the lefty spot. I do think there's a difference between pitching at home against Chicago on a Tuesday night, on a Wednesday night, and pitching, in Seattle in the wild card round in October. And so I do think the Rangers need to go out and get someone that can further solidify the back end of that pen, especially. Posey's not that dumb. What part, Dan? What part? The Cornell Smith part? Man, I don't know. I don't think Cornell and Smith for a half season of Arise is like that crazy. I mean, maybe it's not a yes. Maybe it's not green lit. I should put it in baseball trade values. I should put it in my baseball trade values. It's a great site, by the way. I just got my notification that my yearly subscription re-upped. I'm like, I hate it when that happens. I'm like, oh yeah, $60 or whatever it was. I'm going to see if I can pull up baseball trade values tonight and see if my Cornell and see if my Josh Smith trade for Arise is that big of a deal. Let me see. We'll have to check it out. Who would I say is untouchable? Cole, thanks for the comment, by the way. I really don't want to trade Walcott. I don't think that CY is going to trade any of the pitchers. Gore, DeGrom, Evaldi. I don't think Seager is getting traded. And so, look, untouchable, I know I'm being a little liberal with that term, but in my mind, I'm just going to tell you the players when I hear who's untouchable, who's not going to get traded. I don't think Seager's not getting traded. DeGrom, Evaldi. And I think that you also have to think about some of the other guys. Nimmo, I don't know if anyone's eager to do a Nimmo trade right now. Nimmo has the no trade clause anyways, so Nimmo would have to approve that. I don't think anybody's eager to take on 5 more years of Brandon Nimmo. No disrespect to him, but I think Nimmo's had a pretty average year this year. I don't think he's crushing it. I don't think he sucks, but I think Nimmo has just kind of had a very average year this year. I don't think anyone really wants to take him on for 4 more seasons. Jungle Cat, I do think could potentially be a trade piece. I don't think that is untouchable. And the only reason I say that Josh Young is not untouchable is because right now he's a bit of a one-dimensional player. And what I mean by that is he really is only good at hitting right now. All he can do is hit. He's not really a defender that you're looking forward to playing third base. He is our third baseman, but I think CY and Skip would probably love to have a little more flexibility to play somebody else down at third base. They really don't right now. And Josh Young is probably the best hitter on the team. So there's really no way that you can avoid that. You've got to either DH him and then Foscue kind of loses his role, or you keep playing him at third. So I think Josh Young, because of the nature of his game right now, being a bit one-dimensional, I do think that he is a trade candidate. I miss the great defense too. I don't know. The fall off, as the kids say, the fall off needs to be studied. Like the fall off does need to be studied. Josh Young in the defense, but you're talking about a player that's not super well conditioned, not very fast, athleticism. Obviously, he's a major leaguer. Of course, he's an athlete, but I think we all understand what I mean. The athleticism, probably not where you want it to be. I think the Rangers should use Josh Young as trade bait if they can for the right deal. I don't think he needs to be a guy that you hold on to forever and ever. If he was a great defender and, was average with the speed, I'd probably feel a lot differently. Of course, you want to keep a player like that. But because JJ's become a bit one-dimensional, I'd probably be okay with the trade. Base running in defense far inferior to offense. I don't think that's the argument, though. I don't think that's what we're arguing here, right? What we're arguing is how long do you want to continue on with a player who's basically strictly one-dimensional with his game and not getting any younger, right? JJ is going to be 29 at the start of the 27 season. I don't really know how much longer you want to hang on to the hope that there's going to be some massive bounce back with the athleticism. I don't think the bat is so good that you can't trade him. I know that some of y'all might agree to disagree, but Josh Young doesn't give you pop. He hits balls to the track. He hits balls opposite field, and it's great. I love those kinds of players, but Josh Young is not so elite with the bat that you just can't let him go. You can't. You don't trust X-Well, but no, I love the advanced stats. I love the advanced stats. I don't think I would consider myself like an eye test guy, but man, Matt, I just don't know how you could look at Young and say franchise cornerstone, can't trade him. Like that I don't feel like a lot of Rangers fans would probably say that Josh Young is untradeable. If not now in the offseason, but agree to disagree. My take on Young is there's a lot of people, a lot of fans that love Josh Young. And I really love Josh Young too, if I'm just being honest. Shoot, I got the freaking bobblehead right behind me here. I love Josh Young. But look, I can step back objectively a lot, I feel like. Sometimes no, but a lot. Josh Young's not a franchise cornerstone. He's not hitting the ball out of the ballpark. He's costing you runs out in the field. He's losing speed every year like clockwork. Josh Young to me is not an untradeable piece. Now, am I trading him for a box of rocks, Matt? Let's get specific here. Am I trading Josh Young for a box of rocks just to get him off the roster? Absolutely not. I think the caveat I actually said is like, if you can get a really legitimate good deal and Josh Young needs to be a part of it, okay, I'm listening. I'm not just trying to offload Josh Young. I don't know if that helps us get more in the middle, my friend, but let's just be clear on that. I don't think Josh Young needs to be traded for, a Jolly Rancher and, some bubble gum. I think he needs to be traded for someone who is going to help the franchise in the future, and it needs to be a good deal. Offload Josh Young. I don't think I did say that, but if I did, then allow the correction, I guess. If no one's allowed to make a mistake, I guess hang on to that one quote. But I don't think I really said offload. I would like to offload the DH situation. I did say that. I don't want to trade Jock Peterson for a box of rocks either, but I really don't want to continue to do the double DH thing, and 2 roster spots are committed basically to the DH spot. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. But yeah, I don't want to offload Josh Young. I want to be able to use Josh Young as a potential trade piece if I'm going to be improving my chances for the future. I'm not holding on to Josh Young forever. Why do I never answer your questions? I don't know. Sometimes I think my eyes naturally skip over the people that have no username. I'm not going to lie to you. It's nothing personal, though, I promise. I think when I see the user 5985217 I just sometimes skip over it. It's nothing personal, my guy. Josh Schmidt, though, is your question on the trade? I don't think he's getting traded for sure. I do think it's a possibility. Logan, you do make a good point on JJ. Another thing to consider about Josh is the injury prone thing. I think he's had some tough luck. I mean, let's be real. He got hit in 2024 by a pitch, right? That was Maton, right? Good old Phil Maton, baby. He hit Josh Young in 2024. Josh was having a great start to the 24 season. So Josh has had some bad luck, but he's also been a guy that over the course of his career does get hurt. It's kind of just is what it is at this point. Smitty can go. We all got too attached. Don't give away, but if we can get better, let's get better. Yep. I'm with you on that, Johnny. Hypothetically, who's a catcher you'd accept a trade for that involves the Jungle Cat? So here's the thing with the Josh Young trade. I think if you're just talking catchers, right? You're just talking catchers. Hunter Goodman. I'd trade Josh Young to get Hunter Goodman 100%. I don't know a lot of people that would probably be unwilling to do that deal. I would probably do that. I would, the Adley Rutschman thing is tough because I think JJ is not an unrestricted free agent for like a year more. I think 29 is when he's a UFA. Correct. So Adley is an unrestricted free agent in 28. JJ is not unrestricted until 29. So ideally, if I'm trading Josh Young, I'd like to get a player in return that is more controllable than him, if that makes sense. If I'm going to trade Josh Young, whose value I think is actually pretty high right now, I would love to see them get a player in return that is actually going to be around the team as long or slightly longer than him. Now, Hunter Goodman, that's the next name, right? He is not going to be an unrestricted free agent until 2030. So you have 2030 Hunter Goodman. If I'm trading JJ to get a Hunter Goodman type that is going to be around until 30, now we're talking. So that would be, I think, my general philosophy there. If you're going to trade a guy like JJ that you already have under control for several more years, 3 to be exact, I want a player back that is at least controllable for that amount of time, if not slightly longer. Lord Tubbington, what's good, man? Who did you say are the only 2 cornerstones? Walcott and Langford. I would agree with that. Lockstep on that, my friend. I see those 2 guys as the only untradables. At one point, 2 years ago, I probably would have thrown Evan Carter in that mix. I think a lot of us would have. And I'm still an Evan Carter fan, despite our playful and fun, not heated, not contentious, playful and fun Osuna versus Carter debates. I definitely think Evan Carter is expendable. I think if you could find somebody that really is going to overpay for Evan Carter or allow you to get a good piece back and Evan Carter has to be in the mix, yeah, I'm doing that. We just don't have the assets to get Goodman. You may be right there, although I think you throw in JJ, you throw in Scarborough, you throw in maybe a Winston Santos. Now we're starting to cook. I don't think the Rangers have nothing to offer for a Hunter Goodman type. Are you going to have to trade some top 5s? Yes. Are you going to have to trade a major league legitimate player like Young? Probably. I do think right now there's absolutely capital to go get a Hunter Goodman. The fans that are telling me, and I'm not singling you out, my guy, don't take it that way. But the fans that tell me like, oh, we don't have enough. No, I think we have some pieces that definitely other teams would like. It's just going to be at the expense of us falling further down in the farm system rankings. Should we trade Berger? Yes. Berger, to me, is another guy that is not a franchise cornerstone. And so, as you know, Lord Tubbington eloquently stated, along with a bunch of all of you guys, we really don't have a lot of untradables. Now, there's guys that you're not going to trade because of the contract and because of the value. Again, I don't think there's any way CY trades Evo or DeGrom this year. Like, no way. Even if the Rangers lose every game until the trade deadline, I would be really surprised if they traded DeGrom. I think in CY's mind, let's reload for 27, and here we go. Like, absolutely. No offense to Berger, but can we please trade him? I can't stand watching his ABs. Berger's just, he's he's like the epitome of the team, right? He's a very streaky player. He gets hot, he gets cold, and that's kind of what the team does. Right? I mean, Berger is basically the epitome of the Rangers in 2026. We keep rolling. Tomorrow's game, by the way, we're going to have, I think, is it another night game? What are we at? Thursday? Oh, no, day off tomorrow. What am I thinking? Day off tomorrow. Friday, we're back at 7:05 start time. Miller against Gore. Okay, McKenzie. McKenzie coming off a bad start the All-Star game. 5 earned runs in 5 2/3 against Atlanta. Before that, a good start against Houston right before the All-Star break. Before that, a terrible start against the Angels. Not sure what version we're going to be getting of Mackenzie Gore on Friday night. Could be good, could be bad. That's the fun, man. You never know till the game starts and you're in your seat. I definitely am feeling good about the DeGrom and Eovaldi Seattle games. I'm not feeling awesome about any other one. I'm really not. Let's go to the matchup, though. Berger, 2 for 6 against Bryce Miller. Evan Carter, 2 homers against Bryce Miller. Sure, we'll see some Evan Carter back in the mix. He is 2 for 3 with 2 bombs and 4 RBI against Bryce Miller. Be good to see Evan back in the mix. Josh Young. Hopefully Josh Young is good because Josh Young is batting .571 in 7 career ABs against Bryce Miller. Has a home run as well. Wyatt Langford 1 for 4. Nicky Knox 1 for 6. Brandon Nimmo 1 for 2. Jock Peterson 0 for 1. No one else has a career AB. Cauley, Duran, Díaz, Bosque, Osuna wins. None of them have an AB against Bryce Miller. On the other side, Gore against Arozarena. Arozarena is 2 for 8 with a homer. Crawford, the shortstop, 3 for 10 with 2 bombs. Garv Sauce, 1 for 7 against Mackenzie Gore, probable starter for Texas on Friday. Big Dumper, 1 for 10 against Gore. J-Rod, 1 for 10 as well. Wilson, the third baseman, 4 for 10 with a bomb. Cole Young, 1 for 3. I think you have a little bit of a favorable matchup here with Gore. You got to look out for J.P. Crawford, but otherwise not too bad. We'll see what happens. And we'll be back Friday night, 8th, 9th inning, to talk all about it. Hopefully under better circumstances. It's going to be fun as trades heat up. We'll be talking more and more trade stuff. I'm sure some of my videos will start slanting towards the trades as well, but for right now, I think we're going to call it a night. We've been going an hour and 13. I think it's time to get back in, see the fam, flush this one out the system. But I appreciate all y'all hanging out. Thank you for all the comments, and thank you for sticking these out. Thick and thin, man, rain or shine, win or loss, we're here talking Rangers baseball, right? I appreciate everybody that followed since the show went live, subscribing on YouTube, following on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. Thank you. We don't take any of that for granted. I know there were some people giving gifts. Obviously, man, that is beyond generous, but I don't take any support for granted at all. It's just good to be hanging out, talking ball with you guys. That's why I started this way back when and why I continue to do this. So we keep grinding. we keep going. And as I always say to end every show, God bless and go Rangers.